this is it. Full roundup of the Isle of Man TT. Jim's going to do it with us, but he's stood there waffling right now. It is now senior day. There's been a little bit of delay due to the weather, but we're going to get into a full recap of the week so far and then jump back and do the senior once it's actually happened today and once he finishes talking. Non-stop. Right, we've got him back, finished talking. Are we gonna, best thing to do is, right, we'll start from the start of the week. Not practice week, or, yeah, we need to talk about practice week, because obviously we lost me and Contender.
Yeah, I mean, main thing about practice week is the weather. It was coming and going, getting out when they could. I mean, I think Gary Thompson did a brilliant job in getting people out and making the right call. Main thing with practice was Peter Hickman. I mean, not his fault, machine kind of failure. However, it's a big crash, and he's, I think, really quite lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was machine failure, not mechanic failure or anything like that there.
Correct.
A part broke.
It was a part broke. Nobody's fault, really. Peter did well to get away with what is basically a big beating up.
Yeah.
Black eyes, big knock on head. However, he's in mega spirits. He's back at the paddock. He's doing his talks. He's looking after his sponsors. So, but it did put a little bit of a different complexion on going forward, because the big four, as we know them, then suddenly became.
Do you think that made people, like obviously the other three, then got confidence from that? Not the fact that we know none of us want to see anyone get hurt, but they think, oh, that's one less person to beat.
You're only saying that because you know it's true. As a rider, you're thinking, you don't want anybody to get hurt, like you say, and Pete's, but once you know he's all right, then you think, one less person.
Right.
You're bound to think that.
So he's out of the equation.
Yep.
Don't mean to say that harshly, but yeah, so we're down to the big three.
Yep.
Sort of same scenario for the first Superbike race?
Yeah.
First winner.
Going in there, you didn't know who was going to be the biggest of the big three at that point. And it turned out to be a race between the three that we thought. It was a really good race. And David Todd ended up coming out top. He didn't make it easy for himself. He had a bit of an issue in the pits. But I thought, I mean, I was commentating on the live. I thought it was a really good race. And I don't think any of it, I think main thing for me out of that was the fact that Michael is not struggling, but just didn't.
Yeah, the bike that looks so dominant, the Northwest, and we spoke about this. The Northwest is nothing like the TT. Other
than that, it's a public road.
Yeah.
But really, it's a completely different nature. You don't get anything. Well, you don't get anything anywhere that you get here.
No.
I think they were even going into the race, and even.
Watch your back. It's all right. We don't want to get the camera on.
No.
Cheers.
And actually, an indication of that is.
Sure, we're just getting brought in there for the week.
Even in the pit stop, they were making adjustments. They were putting preload on and taking it off.
He did that in quite a lot of pit stops.
So that to me says you can't do that in a pit stop on the spur of the moment. You have to have a plan to do that, because you have to have everything ready to do that.
Yeah.
So they must have been. I'm not going to say struggling, but they must have thought they could still be making changes at that late stage.
Yeah. So, big three, normal three. I don't want to make that sound boring, but that's what we expected.
It's a good race, but...
The big thing for me, though, was the fourth place finish.
Correct.
Nathan Harrison.
Yeah, really impressed with him. Yeah, brilliant ride to fourth. And going quick, that wasn't a gift. That was him getting stuck in. He looked mega on the shots. Really making it happen. And it just looks like a big bike rider now.
And but to be fair, not a lot of people know this, but this is his first TT when he's been fit.
When he's been fit?
Yeah.
Last 2 years been unfit, and actually a little bit, I think, him hurting himself at the Northwest and other bit, I think a lot of that was out of the fact that he had pressure, not from Honda, but being with Honda, from himself.
Yeah, and I think that's normal.
When you go and see him in his pit, there's him and his dad, the bike is perfectly turned out, it's beautiful, and he's smiling and he's fit and everything's working for him. I think brilliant ride that.
Yeah. So, first bike race done, straight on the sidecar. There was no big surprise there.
Not a big surprise at all. The Crow boys have been smashing it all the way through. They'd never been bettered in any qualifying or practice session, and by a long way. They were straight out there, shoving the 120-mile-an-hour laps in.
It sounds like this is, even in the race, they slowed down to bring it home, doing 120-mile-an-hour
and still going quicker than anybody else by about 2 or 3 miles an hour.
Which is ridiculous.
And even more than that, the thing about the sidecar lads is it's really the only part of racing left where the only group are racing the paddock
Yeah.
that still work on their own bikes, do their own bodywork. Each one of these machines is different because they all go their own way with it.
Yeah.
And the Crows have made a massive effort on aero, and you can see it, the shape of the back of the bike.
There's been quite a lot of talk that was down to Molly. Molly's
Oh no, Molly's Isle of Man, it's the Isle of Man mafia, isn't it?
Yeah.
In cycling, isn't it? And good luck to him. The thing looked more stable than anybody else's outfit. It didn't no wobbling over it landed straight, it looked fast.
Yeah.
And when you look at what it was doing through the speed trap, this is a 600, basically a super sport motor that were going with 2 people.
This blew my mind.
This is going nearly as quick as a full-on super sport
Dean Harrison's
Honda with
was
about half the weight.
3 mile an hour difference?
3 mile an hour with half the weight. So whatever they're doing with that aero, it's working.
If there's anybody watching this, right,
How does that happen?
that understands physics or logic or whatever, that something that weighs, it must be like a quarter of a ton with both riders.
450 kilos with a full tank, about.
Yeah, that's not possible with downforce or under.
Well, they've got 3 tyres that wide on the road. That's all creates drag. If they're creating downforce and aero, that's actually creating some drag if it's downforce.
Yeah.
So
crazy. So them guys really dominant, both races won.
Yeah.
You're big impressed newcomer though that got no mention in the sidecar.
No, he didn't get a lot of mention
no
before.
mention,
He didn't come as seen as one of the big newcomers. The big newcomers, and they did well, were George Holden and Matt Wilkes and Steve Kershaw. But the one that impressed me was a team called, it's Kieran Clark on the Eddies, the orange bike if you see it. Run out of Tadcaster, it's a Tadcaster bike shop, his Eddies. And so Kieran Clark and Andrew Johnston, and they just went below the radar until they got on track, and then boom, they're off. They said
it's quite cool that though.
Really cool, but he's a cool bloke. And really like him, smiled the whole time, never didn't enjoy it, never worried himself, never had any moments that we saw. And and finished, I think, 5th, I'm going to say.
And he did 100, and this is stats based, it was 114 something.
He wanted to do 110 this year, ended up doing 114. And now
that's impressive.
That's like doing, it's like doing high 120s as a solo big bike rider first time.
Easily. Yeah, easily. Right, so that was the first day of highlights. So we're going to try and break the next few things up. So I think it's easier because we've had 2 doubles. Well, we've had one man that's won 4 and one man that's won 2. So we have to talk about Michael first. Yeah. And it sounds bad saying the fact that we expected this. He's only done what he expected. So I don't want to underhand the compliment.
I don't think I think that's a compliment to him that you expected him to do exactly. And coming here, you can have all the expectation you want, and it still don't work. Yeah. So in both Super Sport and Super Twin, Michael has been exceptional and unbeatable. On a different bike, it was a big risk, really big risk in taking that.
Because at the end of the day, Davey Todd didn't win on it last year.
Exactly, and he actually said it wasn't, handling wise, it wasn't what he expected.
And it looked lively on the television.
And he ain't in one now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So big risk for Michael, but to be honest, if anybody can, what's the word? Manhandle, wrestle a bike round here, it's obviously Michael.
But the other thing, people say that like he just grips. He's obviously good at setting a bike
up.
No,
he's not good at setting a bike up. Never stops thinking. But this is wrestling a bike round is the wrong way. Yeah. He is a man who knows how hard you can push on what you've got under you at that time.
Yeah, well,
that's
he wouldn't
my
be
opinion.
in the position he's in.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, unbeatable, really.
Would you say it's more impressive winning the Super Sport races than the Super Twin? Because the Super Twin was expected. The bike's good. He's a quality rider.
Yeah, but do you know what the impressive thing about that is, right? We've all said you've ridden small bikes, you've ridden big bikes. Nobody concentrates on, none of the big riders, the big names, concentrate on a twin. It's just something they ride because they're here and they get a twin. A lot of them don't test it, they just look at it first time before they go out for first practice.
Yeah, I don't think Davey Todd actually sat on his before coming here.
Yeah, but neither did Michael. Yeah. The bike arrives from Milan with Lorenzo and Andrea. They put it on.
Sounds exotic that when you say that, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you could tell, from Milan. You know, in the paddock you could tell them too because they do the talking with their arms. So, but he hasn't seen it since last year. Yeah. But yeah, it's a different technique running the speed. You know, if you scrub speed off in a corner with one of them, you're doomed. But he can do it straight away.
I think that comes from not. People always talk about, oh, we all have to do British Championship, but I think the fact that he just does road racing where you were always changing bikes, that he doesn't know any different than changing all the time.
Exactly what I said in comms. I said, look, if you're in British Superbike, you don't ride more than one class, wherever they super sports bike. But in Ireland, especially on the roads, you get lads riding a 125, a 250 back in the day, and then they jump on a super sport bike. So you've got to adapt pretty quick, and he can do that. Yeah,
impressive. So, yeah, Michael Dunlop, unbelievable week, 4 so far, and you wouldn't bet against him for today, either?
No, you wouldn't. A bit of a mention for James Hillier on the Kawasaki, got a podium, first time in quite a long time. I think first time since 19, I think 6 years.
Really good, and he's riding, I've been out all practice week watching.
Looks lovely.
And he was one of the people I said, he looks really good, really at one with the bike. The other one you want to speak about, we spoke about off there, is David Johnston.
Yeah.
He looks good, and there's no other ZX10 on the grid.
None. Well, Dave had a really good ride in the first Superbike race, finished 5th. But actually, he had a really good ride in the stock as well. I mean,
the bike's slower of all the big bikes.
25 brake horsepower down. That ZX10R is a mega bike. It's a brilliant bike, and you don't need all the power that it's got as a road bike. But actually, it's a little bit down compared to the BMs and the Hondas. So to put that around at over 130 was a good effort in the Super Stock race from Dave. Oh yeah.
So Dean Harrison, what was the opening line? Dean's trying to bring a knife to a gunfight.
Dean's brought. I think it's a bit unfair to Honda, but
no.
Your mate said it, and I laugh. Dean brought a knife to a gunfight and still won.
That's impressive, isn't it?
And Dino's just had a brilliant TT. How many? It's just the bridesmaid, and you think, can he ever win another? He's always, but when Dino doesn't win, he's still happy. He's magnanimous.
Genuine.
He'll give everybody credit for what they've done, and there's
no talking about him coming in and going, oh well, I didn't push that hard.
This, it wasn't that. Right. I didn't have that. No, he's absolutely brilliant. I mean, really popular win.
The crowd went mad for him. Even at the Northwest, honestly, there was Northern Ireland people coming up to me and saying, we want Dean Harrison to win. And it's the same here. Well, he's a Manx man now. I was upset they didn't play the Manx national anthem.
Well, no, listen. We're still claiming him for Yorkshire.
No, he's done well.
Yeah.
It's like Andy Murray, Scottish if he wins.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Dino could not be more pleased for him, his family, and a little bit for Honda.
Yeah.
Because Honda, what is it?
10 years.
9 or 10 years since he won. Yeah. So
definitely.
And a little bit, I think that's because he's been doing British Supersport. And Dean doesn't even know how good he is on the short circuits. Dean's one of them. He hadn't understood how good he is. He's not done a lot of short circuit racing.
Hey, okay.
So I think he's starting to find himself a little bit. He's got that irrepressible. He's got that grin that you can't. You could slap him and he's still.
But even the comfort level he has out there. I know he was a little bit nervous. I spoke to him before some of the races, but in a good way, a really positive way, and he just gets straight into action. There's no mess, and he's.
I've never known anybody. I reckon a lot of that. You know, the Metzler front tyre is unbelievably good. You go one way, then the other, and then boom, you can go. And he knows that. I think that's one of the reasons he chooses Metzler. But it's him as well. He's one of them wiry kind of, don't know. He's just one of them who never stops trying. He's one of sort of life's tryers.
One of the other people. So we spoke about people have made a really good step. Nathan Harrison, we spoke about him. But the other one I want to speak about is James Hind.
Jim Hind, what a TT in terms of speed. How can you go from your fastest lap ever being a 129 and then suddenly miss out a 130, 131 and go straight into the 132s?
So for people that don't understand about, like, we talk about mile an hour, that's like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is like over a second a lap.
Even around 37 and 3/4 miles, that is, where are you going to find that?
Especially because some of it's just flat out, you're sat there doing nothing. So really, we've seen some big moments from him. I don't know if we can put them in this as an overlay, but he's had some big. So, and that has to come with taking risk. It's
got to come with the speed, and if he learns from him, you know, that can be almost that can almost be a good thing for him in his T career. He might look back and say, you know what, I learned a lot from that. So, but speed-wise, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Have you ever learned from any nearly misses, or did you need a?
What do you think?
Right. So, we're obviously, like, the crowd in here is amazing, Evan, right now. Today is senior day, like we said before.
Yep.
That means one thing.
Yep.
Are you gonna give us a? Can you remember what you said at the start? Who you'd aim for today? Did either of us say Pete?
I think we probably did. I think it's going to be the big three. Obviously, can you call it? No, I think right, one thing, Dean's going to be fast out the blocks.
Yeah.
Dean's in a bit of an odd position because he's done 135.69, nearly 136 on his stocker, full-on stocker. Yeah. So does he choose that stocker, or does he do somewhere in between?
Yeah, he's going off what he said to me. There's talk now that they're going to put the kit electronics on the Superbike, because there's obviously got Motec on now.
Yep. So it behaves a bit like a stocker.
It behaves a bit more, but I think they've got better power out of the kit over the Motec. I don't know how that works, I'm not even going to pretend. So I think we're going to see Davey and Dean on 2 hybrid Superbikes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Michael's on his full-blown World Superbike. Who are we saying?
I think Michael's got something with that. I think they've worked on it. I think he's got the speed, and I think he's going to be... Hart says... Dino Head says probably Michael, but if it went any other way, and sorry Davey, if you won, I would definitely find that easy to believe, you know. But
so we've got last year's senior. We're actually looking at his bike right now. There's the bike that won the senior last year.
There it is.
So Davey won it last year, and we've got him hopefully being on the podium. It's mad, isn't it?
Listen, if Davey went and won it,
you wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but you made me do that.
No fact. Right. We're hopefully going to see some racing really, really soon, and then we're going to come back and tell you if Jim
we're right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right, so we are now on the bottom floor of the control tower where it all goes off. That's the radio, the TV, live commentary that I've spent most of the last couple of weeks up there. You know what it's like up there, you've spent weeks up there. And it's also where race control is, and that's where a big decision has just been made, and it is that we're not going to get a senior. And actually, I haven't asked you, what's your personal opinion?
Yeah, well, I was out there. I was in the midst of the pits when I'd seen the whole boys come back, and it's funny for me because they're my mates. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and people say, oh, interview him or whatever, but I've got their best interest. And when you see 2 or 3 of mates like genuinely stressed, concerned, so it's a good call. And literally just before we've started recording there, Gary Thompson walked past and he looked absolutely devastated. Do you know what I mean? This means more to him than people know.
The problem with wind, particularly around the Isle of Man, is depending which way it's coming, you haven't just got the fact that you're getting side winds through where there's maybe a gap in the houses, or maybe there's a gate hole and the wind gets you and you do on the side. But actually, long straights, if it's behind you, it's pushing you into the corners, and you don't know where your braking markers are. It's a hideous thing to have to account for and ride with when you can't even see it. So, I mean, they do a good job of putting windsocks on the mountain, because there always is a bit of a visitor man. You know all about that. Yeah. You look at them and you can gauge your turning points and where you're likely to feel the wind. But actually, when you're feeling the wind coming across the crossroads at St Ninians,
that was the thing.
That's difficult to cope with.
All the boys, I listened to both, I'm not even going to say names, but 2 people come in, and they said the wind on the bottom of the course is frightening.
Worse than they've ever had.
Because up top, you expect it. You expect it. So
up top, it generally comes from one direction and stays the same direction. Down the bottom, it's funneled through houses and trees, and it's just hard to cope with.
Yeah, so end of the day, right decision. Yeah. Everyone's home safe. We've had a mint TT. How many races did we get away? 9?
Yeah. And actually, the fact that we've got that many races away in a week that's been... It hasn't been horrendously wet. It's just rained here 1 minute, then wrong. It's wrong place, wrong time. Rain.
It's been so
They've done really well, organisers, and I don't think we'll look back at this and say anything different.
So, rider of the week.
Rider of the week for me got to be Dean. I think. I mean, I'm a massive Dean fan. I'm a Michael Dunlop fan. I know how hard it is. Been out of your fan when you were racing here. David Todd fan. It was been between them 3 in the big races. They all achieved something. But I think for me, Dino getting his first win in a long time. Honda's first win in, I think, 10 years. So absolutely brilliant. But for me, there were a few standout, and this is it. Look, there's a lot of packing up going on. Even as we speak. And this is thing about this place. Honestly, we were going to do this chat in one of the awnings of a major team, but they've gone. This is literally an hour after they've made the announcement, and everybody's heading for the boat. So,
up and coming rider then.
Up and coming rider. Well, newcomer Mitch Rees. We've just seen him walk through there. Absolutely fantastic.
And what was he just doing there? So he come in to thank the staff. Gary Thompson, the staff in the office, And I'm wholly openly admit I didn't do that when I was a newcomer. So
and you're a polite man.
Well, I like to think so. But credit to him. He's been brought up well. He's a good person. I've known him. I've raced with him in New Zealand. Fast. He's going to be a TT frontman.
Yes, he is. So I think he's the 6th or 5th fastest newcomer ever.
Yeah.
I think.
But even seeing people happy, like Barry Burrell works for you on your track days, really good friend of mine, we've had him on here. He has loved it. He come to me and I said on the interview, I said, wait to 10 or 12 laps, it'll click and then you'll enjoy it. And I could see it in his eyes, that feeling.
Well, actually, it's only because he wasn't going to go out today in the senior anyway because he's feeling ill.
Yeah.
Just some kind of bug, I don't know what he's got. Best newcomer in the solo class was Mitch. Best newcomers, and there were a lot of them in the sidecar, was Kieran Clark and Andy Johnston. They were really good, really overachieved. There's also standout performances, people who were taking big steps. I think you've got to go, do you mind? Went from, we've said it,
28 or 29.
29 to 32.
That's a big jump.
Big jump.
But then we've seen some moments from him as well. So like we said, I hope that calms him.
If he learns. But also, I think other achievements that might have gone below the radar a bit. I think Paul Jordan. Yeah. Paul Jordan got his flipping hooks into Michael Dunlop when they came past him in the twins and stuck with him and not stuck with a slowing down because I've got a big lead, Michael Dunlop. This is... He got stuck in and stayed with a Michael Dunlop on lap record pace through the sectors. Some of them were lap record sectors. So that was brilliant. He's found something in himself. Yeah. He says he won't do what I can't do.
3 fourth place finishes. So and obviously there was upsetment then with Mikey Evans. Yeah, but got knocked off. Nothing to do with the rider.
Nothing to do with the rider. He put the same amount of effort in, got his podium, and it was emotional. And
he wouldn't even have known. He wouldn't even have no idea. No. He's on that team, new team to him.
Yeah. So credit to Miguel. Also, Rob Hodson.
Yeah, first podium
in the twins. I've got to mention Davo Johnson because he
went under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, but coming here with the Kawasaki now, how many other Kawasaki's apart from the twins race? Big races, no Kawasaki's. Reason is, it's a brilliant bike, ZX10. However, it's a bit long in the tooth and it's out on power, 25 horsepower less in the stock race, and he did a 130 plus lap. So good, I think, good effort from Davo. Nathan Harrison, really looks solid on the big bike. And he rides it like a big bike. He's having it.
These boys have got some shots in Nathan out on track, and he is.
But clean, but he's riding it.
Riding the thing.
Have we missed anybody?
I don't know, but if we have, we'll just apologise now and then put them in the credits. Is that what they do in a movie?
Yeah.
No, the weather's been so frustrating, but once again, the guys have put on a massive show. Yep. The whole TT people have put on a massive show. And I've enjoyed my first time doing it from this side of the fence. Yeah,
you've been very good, in my opinion. When you just practice, you'll be all right when you've been there.
Learn the Queen's
English. Do you know what? If you go around and sort of talk to the punters, most of the people who's been here before understand. Yeah. They know. They know what the crack of this.
Yeah, I was happy to hear the fans clap when it was called off. So that's respect. Yeah. So yeah, we've got the best fans in the world. That's all for now. Will we be able to cut that into that other, or should we say something else? Stop you zooming in on my head. He's a fucker, isn't he?
Nobody wants to see that.